When Deontay Wilder was WBC World Heavyweight Champion, he was a very loud, brash, braggadocious, trash-talking character. He was always up on social media. He would always be quick to respond to one of his rivals or Eddie Hearn when they directed comments towards him. But following his devastating stoppage defeat to Tyson Fury earlier on this year, Deontay's character completely changed overnight. He started acting completely out of character because it was radio silence from him. He became as quiet as a church mouse. And as the months rolled by and he was becoming more and more conspicuous by his absence, Tyson Fury started making videos and posts on social media appealing to Deontay Wilder to come and get the smoke, asking him what's going on with this trilogy fight, where you at? But there was no response from Wilder. Complete silence. More time went by. And eventually Tyson Fury and his promoter Bob Arum ran out of patience, and they publicly announced that the contract for the trilogy fight with Wilder had expired. They were sick of waiting, and therefore they planned to get Tyson Fury out in December against Carlos Takam, Ajit Kabayel. There's a bunch of names floating around. The fans started saying, well, clearly Deontay Wilder has chickened out of the fight. But suddenly out the blue, Deontay Wilder pops up today with a laughable video where he's got music in the background. Just comes across as unbelievably corny. I guess he thinks he sounds profound in this video. I don't know. But in the video, he claims that Tyson Fury used tampered gloves in the first fight, loaded gloves, as in with a blunt object inside for the second fight, and claimed that Tyson Fury's ducking him, basically. He also inadvertently admitted that he did receive an offer to fight Anthony Joshua. Now, we all know that he received multiple offers, but in the video, he was talking about how he basically, according to him, did Tyson Fury a favor by giving him a title shot. And in a sense, he's kind of urging Tyson Fury to do him a favor in return and also give him a shot. You see, if Tyson Fury was contractually bound to fight Deontay Wilder for a third time, then Wilder wouldn't have to say anything like that. He could say, you're bound to the contract and you can't go anywhere. You have to fight me. There's nothing else you can do, or I'll see you in court. But he's not saying that. He's talking about, I did this for you in the past. I did that for you in the past. You're supposed to return the favor. As I've said all along, Deontay don't want this fight. If he wanted the fight, why did he wait until the contract had expired and the fans were saying that he chickened out before he decided to say anything? Tyson Fury has been calling his name for weeks, saying, where you at? What's going on? And Deontay didn't respond. He only responded after the contract expired. And his response has been absurd, talking about loaded gloves and all this nonsense. You see, Deontay has always been a delusional character, but I thought there was some hope for him in the weeks and months after that loss to Tyson Fury, because he'd apparently reached out to George Foreman and he was reaching out to all these other people in boxing. And to me, that was an indication of somebody who understood that they needed to improve, who understood that they'd lost to the better man on the night. To me, that was a good sign. But unfortunately, he got rid of Mark Breland. The only sensible, I say sensible, Mark Breland said some foolish things as well over the years, but he certainly cared about the fighter. Let's just put it that way. And he was sensible enough to know that Deontay needed saving from himself. In that, what was it, a 7th round or 6th round, whenever he got stopped, he knew he needed saving from himself at that point. He was the only one sensible enough to know that. But now that he's out of the camp And Deontay called him disloyal. Can you imagine? And he also criticized the referee. Now that he's out of the camp, it's only full of jokers again, like his brother Marcellus, who might even be more delusional than Deontay himself. And all of these demented fans that Deontay has that are also filling his vacuous head full of nonsense. Why on earth would anyone take this guy's claims that he wants to fight Fury seriously when he stayed dead silent and allowed the contract to run out before he decided to say anything? Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I knew that the Tyson Fury defeat had devastated him psychologically, but it's even worse than I thought. He's back into this bizarre, delusional mindset, which is encouraged by a lot of his fans. Deep down, Deontay knows that he don't want no smoke. He knows that deep down. All he's doing right now is trying to save face by entertaining all these ridiculous claims by his fans and by his brother about tampered gloves and loaded gloves and all this nonsense. Acting like Fury's running. He's just trying to save face. That's all it is. Now, I've also said all along, there are people in Deontay's camp who want the rematch. Shelly Finkel, he wants it. Al Heyman wants it. JD's wants it. Why do they want it? Because they want to get paid. They know Deontay doesn't have many years left in this sport. This might be his last decent payday. So they want to secure the bag now. They don't want it to allow this fight to float away. But I am as convinced as anybody possibly could be who isn't an insider in that Deontay Wilder camp that Deontay don't want it. I suspect he's been making a meal out of some of these rumored injuries to try and drag the situation out as long as possible in the hope that Tyson Fury moves on. That's my suspicion. And again, if this contract is valid, then they can take legal action and force Tyson Fury to get back in the ring with him for an immediate trilogy fight, if the contract is valid. If the contract isn't valid, Deontay can talk about, oh, well, I did this for Tyson Fury and I gave him a shot and I did this, and all that is just bluster. You had your opportunity to fight the guy. You had your opportunity to enforce the contract. Why didn't you? All the times Tyson Fury's called him out over the past few months, asking where he is, why didn't Wilder respond? And one of the funny parts of this video that Deontay Wilder did, this silly video where he's got music playing in the background, trying to make himself sound profound, where he just sounds corny and silly. And one of the funniest parts is where he inadvertently admits that he did receive an offer to fight Anthony. We all know he received multiple offers, but out of his own mouth, he admits that he received an offer to fight to fight Anthony Joshua, which was more than the money he got to face Tyson Fury. So he's inadvertently admitting that he turned down better money to fight AJ and took less to fight Fury instead. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. This guy, as I've been telling you for the longest while, he's not the sharpest tool in the box. He's an exciting fighter, yes. And I enjoy watching him. But the character of Deontay Wilder, dear oh dear. He's a country bumpkin. And, I'm not trying to be derogatory when I say this stuff. But there are certain stereotypes about people from the country in the South in America that are rooted in a certain amount of truth. And look, there are some very smart people from the South, from Alabama. But Deontay, unfortunately, is one of the stereotypical Southerners who speaks in a drawl, who isn't intellectually very sharp, and who behaves a lot of the time like an impulsive child. This is how Deontay behaves. There's not much, cunning to the stuff that he does. It's so obvious. This situation that this stunt he's trying to pull right now, trying to save face because of the fact that he allowed the contract to run down without saying anything. Now he's thinking that people are going to buy this spiel he's coming out with. We might have bought it, Deontay, if you hadn't been silent for months and months and months, and you'd been as vocal as normal. We might have bought it. But you've made it so obvious that you didn't want to fight because you've been silent, totally out of character. And when the contract expires, oh, now you want to talk. Come on. Let's see what happens. But it looks like I can't even swear on YouTube because of the algorithm, but it looks like it's going to be more fun and games, more nonsense from Deontay Wilder, maybe for the remainder of the year, in terms of him piping up every now and again with corny music in the background, trying to sound profound, and it just sounds stupid. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm out.